It's a tad bit dark, but it'll do.
Brought to you by Top Deck Cards and Games. Be sure to like them on Facebook and check them out at topdeckcardsandgames.net.
My name's Gage, I wear V-necks and beanies, and I talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Yep. So allow me to extend a huge thank you to Paul for allowing me to upload on his channel today. Thank you so much, Paul. Well, Paul and the entire team APS, but mostly Paul because he contacted me, so thank you, Paul. Poor card design is unfortunately a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! And just as unfortunately, it is a thing that shapes Yu-Gi-Oh! As we know. There's a lot of cards you can just look at and say, damn, Konami, the fuck were you thinking? Examples of these cards are cards that were way too far ahead of their time, cards that just weren't relevant at the moment, that became relevant a lot later, and cards that were just inherently fucking stupid. Poor card design affects the game more than we already know. The fact that a one single poorly designed card can shape an entire format is phenomenal. A perfect example of this is Spellbook of Judgment. While Spellbooks exactly weren't the best deck during Spellbook Dragon Lore format, one card, Spellbook of Judgment, made the entire Spellbook deck a fucking atrocity. Sure, now we have it still popping up in the meta at some places, but it's not quite at the power level it was with that one single secret rare released in Tachyon Galaxy. The card was way too far ahead of its time. It was poorly designed in every aspect, being able to search up to 7 cards during your end phase. Fucking ridiculous. And the exact parallel is a great example too. Dragon Wars. While Dragon Wars wasn't exactly one single card, it was an entire archetype. The entire thinking of the archetype was way too far ahead of Yu-Gi-Oh's time. We looked at the balanced game of Mermails and Fire Fist and just how slow and nicely paced the game was. And that all changed when the Dragon Wars attacked. The game was not prepared for an absolute orgasm of fucking dragons and spellbooks. And it was just too much for the game to handle, which ultimately ended up shaping the game for a solid 2 formats, which at that moment we still had 6-month formats. So that's a long ass time. So why the heck am I talking about poorly designed cards? Well, something that came up recently, well not exactly recently, but it's been said around, is that Star Strike Blast is just an inherently bad set for the game. So many good cards were released out of Star Strike Blast. Ridiculous commons in the form of Vanity's Emptiness. Rares that became completely and totally relevant during their format. Duel and Lockbird at Spellbook Judgment format. There's ridiculous ultra rares, ultimate rares in the form of Glow Up Bulb. Formula Synchron was a rare at that time, which was limited. So many good cards were released at that time. Dragoonities were released. The set was just stupid. There's tons of examples of one set that can shape an entire game. Duelist Alliance being the most recent one, being one of the more prominent ones as Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, having both Dragon Wars and Spellbooks, which completely obliterated an entire format. So having poorly designed cards, having cards that could just completely shape the game, is nothing new. But Star Strike Blast was one of those sets that not only was it inherently broken when it was first released, players were like completely underestimated from what I can understand when that set was released. Glow Up Bulb was dumb, Formula Synchron was dumb, Shooting Star Dragon was dumb, and then we look at now, cards like Vanity's Emptiness is dumb. While Vanity's Emptiness, that card that never got into reprint until recently in Legendary Collection 5, props to you, Konami, for making it secret rare. We love you. Sort of. Sometimes we just can't fucking stand you. Yu-Gi-Oh! Players sometimes don't know what they want. Something we're just willing not to admit. Sorry. Vanity's Emptiness is a card right now that is shaping the format. It defines the format we're in currently. The amount of games you can shut down with Majesty's Fiend, Vanity's Emptiness, or just straight up shutting out games with Vanity's Fiend. And the only thing that's determining the power of these cards, despite how old they are, is the game state we're in currently. There's tons of cards we can look back that were said to have poor designs. Cyberstein's a ridiculously stupid fucking card. Well, it was. Magician of Faith was a stupidly good card. Formula Synchron was a stupidly good card. Glow Up Ball. You see what I'm saying here? Magician of Faith was absolutely stupid at the time it was playable at 3, I think. We had Graceful Charity, Pot of Greed. It was dumb, which, according to players back then, taking in consideration the cards we had back then in the form of, like, the spells, it was a poorly designed card. I just get to get back any spell I want? Fucking okay. Cyberstein OTK won a fucking world championship, I believe. I think. And that card was E-banned. It was so broken. It was retarded. It was poorly designed. But now we look at it now, and a big factor that changes into these things is the power creep in the game. The power creep is absolutely a thing. You can take, I dare you, to take a GOAT format deck and pair it against fucking Shadalls. See what happens. Even taking cards like Rescue Cat, a Rescue Cat deck compared to the cards we have now, and playing it against fucking Satellar Knights, I suppose? I can't think of anything. You put the two decks together, there is a huge difference in what they can do. We have different countermeasures to stop these cards. We have different things to stop the fact that they were poorly designed at the time. Rescue Cat was like a one-card Quasar, I think. That's poorly designed. Looking at the game now, playing a deck full of shitty tuners and crap just to make Rescue Cat decent and to be able to make that one-turn Quasar, it doesn't seem that good anymore. A first-turn Quasar is manageable, surprisingly. And there's even ways to stop you from getting that first-turn Quasar. The game's progressed, whether it be huge progressions in the form of new game mechanics being released, Pendulum Summoning, Synchro, XYZ, those are big staples in the form of just the progression of the game. But there's even just the plain old set being released that defines a format or two that just completely shifts the entire playstyle of the game. And something that Star Strike Blast had to offer was a lot of really forward-thinking cards. In the form of Glow-Up Bulb, in the form of Formula Synchron, these cards were way ahead of their time, and being the fact that they were limited shortly after. Dragon Rulers, Spellbooks, taking a look at these cards, they were way too far ahead of their time, being limited. Maybe someday we can look back and say, ha, Dragon Wars, what was that fucking shit? Being able to search 7 cards off a Spellbook of Judgment, pfft, I can search 10 cards with fucking this card. I don't know if I kind of went off topic a little bit, but it's just something to think about. If you guys enjoyed this video, I talk about you, that's pretty much all I do. Oh my god. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, which I'll have a little picture-y thingy go in here. Just hit that. And also, this was a video swap, so if you want to see an exclusive video from Paul, it's just another reason to check out my channel. You gotta do that. As always, though, thank you for watching, guys. Nim out.